Welcome to Expedient Means Lin Wei on Time Monk Radio. Lin currently resides in China and is the founder and head teacher of Guizhen Philo-Cultural Society. He has extensive experience in Buddhist and Taoist meditation, Qigong, martial arts, and traditional Chinese medicine. To learn more about Lin, please visit his website at www.guizhenhui.net. Tonight, Lin will be discussing how to end rebirth in one lifetime. Welcome back, Lin. Another session today.
Oh yeah.
So
Wonderful.
you're gonna teach us the secrets on ending rebirth in one lifetime, or as it's known sometimes, how to exit the wheel of samsara in one lifetime.
Yes, yes. Well, I mean, it's not secretive. Some people may not find this method to be right for them, so it is a method that can be utilized. Has it been proven to work? I'm not going to say yes, only because the people who are listening to the show now weren't around when those who were ending birth and death in one lifetime were doing it. So I don't have any scientific physical proof that it is that way. But I can tell you that it's been written that it has been done, especially throughout Buddhist sutras. Not speaking in a dogmatic way, meaning you read what the Buddha said in his sutras and you say, oh, that's just the way it is. Oh, that's so great. Instead, you are applying these methods to find out, does it have any merit? Is it actually going to do what it, so-and-so says it's going to be doing? And is it having the effects, or am I going through specific stages as, similar to what is in the sutras, or at least what people who are supposedly have some awakening to them say it is?
Well, maybe could we just start with a quick summary of why people experience birth and re-death? Or
There you go. Yeah, birth and re-death is also funny.
Death and rebirth.
The explanation would probably not be believed, but it is attachments to desire, mainly sexual desire. For all those people who love sex all over the place, sorry. But, indulging in it in an attached mannerism and attaching to views of it and whatnot, emotionally, excuse me, physically and mentally, it keeps you at a lower level of vibration. That lower level of vibration will hinder any higher type of manifestation, And that's really the culprit right there, is our attachments to sexual desire. I mean, even the Buddha said at his last, when he was finally getting past all this stuff, when he was attaining his enlightenment, afterwards it was, he had stated, if he had to do it again, or if sexual desire was any stronger, he probably would not have been able to make it. So we know that sexual desire is a root that has taken, it's something that has taken root very deeply in the mind ground, or in the mind. And it's very powerful. But to break the cycle of birth and death, you have to, cut off, cut off the desires of sexual desire.
You can keep in mind that the Buddha didn't have internet porn, so it's even harder now.
Oh, forget it. It would have been like, just one more picture. And I'll break it right now. I'll leave it alone. I'm telling you, our modern age really has made it difficult, or has given us the tools to really cultivate pretty intensely, with all the pressures that are out there. What we'll consider the adverse pressures of, internet porn, or just regular cable vision porn, or music with sexual connotations to it, movies with those kind of things in it as well. It really locks in your energy. I mean, it keeps you on a lower vibration. Some people may want to liken it to activating or empowering the root chakra, and making the sexual force much stronger. Whatever the case is, and no matter how you want to explain it, it's going to keep you vibrating in a mannerism that makes you attach more and more. It's very easy to create views, attach to views, attach to ego, and be greedy for sensations when you entertain the sexual teachings without any prior practice.
It just brought to mind a quote that I've read somewhere. I can't recall the exact source, but essentially said that in the ancient days, it was hard to get the methods, but once you found the methods, it was relatively easy to cultivate. Whereas in our modern age, the methods are extremely easy to come by. However, it's very hard to do the practice.
That's such a good way of putting it. The old days, you didn't have the obstructions we have now. We have TV, radio, internet, and these things. Well, okay, cell phones and their the availability of internet through cell phones. We have these things obstructing us, and we have all the outlets to get these teachings. I mean, you look at finding teachings for meditation, any type of energetic cultivation or whatnot. You can find them almost anywhere. General and intense, very deep practices, you can get them online. It's very easy. Right now, it's a service-oriented society. Whatever you want, you get. But the quality or the capacity to actually cultivate is very little. Back in the old days, you didn't have these things, so it was very easy. Once you apply your mind to it, that's it. It was very simple. Very simple.
So many distractions now. It's insane. And then you've got to work 40 hours a week at work, doing usually mindless, menial chores, and then when you're done that, you come home and it's like another pile of things you got to get done.
Well, I don't think that ever ended. I think that was always around. People would have their own little businesses or have their farm to take care of, and they're doing work from 5:30 in the morning to like 6 at night. Then they go home and they, have housework to do. If not, they're just enjoying their life around the house. But we can take our mind, whether it was back in the old days or now, and just apply it to being mindful. We can accomplish a lot of things.
I guess that's just romantic in me. I kind of visualized, the farmer in this idealistic type setting and being one with nature and being closer to the Tao. But I guess maybe that's just a view I hold, and maybe we could achieve the same thing in our modern careers. I don't know.
Yes, because you bring up a very good point here and a very good viewpoint about being closer to the Tao and having the ability to get involved a little deeper. The Tao is never further away from us. What is that Tao? We want to know what that is. And you can read it in the Tao Te Ching. You can read it in a lot of other types of Taoist texts. But everyone's always talking, adding head on top of a head. Oh, you can't talk about the Tao because then it's not the real Tao, because Lao Tzu said that it is just that way.
The Tao that can be spoken is not the eternal Tao.
Right. And then everyone just speaks that way. They always repeat it as though they themselves have attained, quote unquote, attained the Tao. And, therefore they just repeat so to end the conversation. Well, the truth is, the Tao is that source that is non-discriminate. And it doesn't mean it's a way, because there's no direction in which it goes. It goes in all directions because we have the discriminating mind or discriminating thoughts on direction, but there is no direction in which it goes. It is thus, just the way it is, thus. Neither here nor there, coming or going. People can say, well, the Buddha said, the thus nature is neither coming or going. Oh, could it be the same thing as attaining the Tao? Well, a lot of people show themselves as though they attained the Tao, but they still have egotism, they still have views of whatnot, and maybe they're just putting on the persona of having attained, when they haven't really attained anything or realized anything. So we can't really be sure if these people who we hold, as a figure for practice actually have realized. I mean, what is the marker that states these people have realized? Well, that's why you have to cultivate yourself and not believe that you have attained it. Or just because you have some type of understanding about certain principles spoken in the Tao Te Ching or even in Buddhist sutras that you have attained something. Perhaps it's just intellectual knowledge from study. You have to actually have practice. Erudition is to study, and you have practice, the application of your mind with the methods there, so you can actually open up your wisdom and find out what is right. Basically, we're talking about here the ending of rebirth in one lifetime. A lot of people think this is some type of a quick fix method that I'm going to give out. It's not. It's not one of those, uh, um, fast food kind of methods where you go, I want to end birth and death in one lifetime. Okay, here's the method. Boom, you eat it, you do it, and then you're done. No. Any type of understanding you get in this lifetime towards what you are in light of what you're practicing according to the principles, you don't believe it. You just practice. Okay? If what you come up with makes sense according to the foundation of the teachings that are left here for us, then probably you got something. Okay? But you cannot believe your mind until you've ended false thinking. So let's keep that in mind.
So you're going to give us a quick fix, but it's still going to require a hell of a lot of work.
Yeah, it is. I mean, the method is quite simple. And then you just have refinement. That can take, I don't know, as long as you practice. It could be 30 years, it could be 5 years, it could be 2 months. It depends on the capacity of the cultivator, really.
Is there a money back guarantee with this method?
In the next lifetime, if it doesn't work in this lifetime, you can find me out again. And we can keep working on it and refining the method here and there. I guarantee I will come back and make sure people will be able to find the teachings. Now, just because you don't attain it in this lifetime doesn't mean I lied to you. It just means this is the way the method is.
You didn't work hard enough.
Yeah, you got to follow the rules. I mean, when I say follow the rules, people think, oh, that's against the way the Tao is. Actually, how can anyone actually claim that they can say that? Because if you're actually in one with the Tao, okay, well, I'll use this kind of a talk. If we are one with the Tao, your body's not sick. You're not being reborn. You don't have views of a self. It doesn't matter if you jump off a roof right now. I had once a person who came to me and said they were a few times, actually, not just one person, but one of the many few times someone came to me and said they are enlightened. I remember I just asked them this one question: what did you enlighten to? And they can't tell me. They stumble in their words, and then they turn around and say after they got enlightened, they became crazy. They don't know what they should do with their life anymore. They don't know what to do with the world. The world's pressuring them and all that stuff. And I say, okay, so just tell me, what are you enlightened to? Like, what's enlightenment? Or what did you enlighten to? Tell me the principle. And, well, they can't. And when they try to, I'll go along with it. Then I say, okay, here's my sword. Go stab yourself. Because you just told me the key to attaining enlightenment and awakening, and you just claimed yourself to be a Buddha. It really wouldn't matter if you died now or you died in 45 years when you're supposed to. So just kill yourself now. They go, why, are you crazy? Really? I'm not going to kill myself. And then you just go on about how they have to live and all that. They go, well, you don't have to worry. You didn't attain enlightenment. Because if you did, you wouldn't be like you want to jump off a roof. You wouldn't be like the whole world's caving in on you, and you would actually know what the hell you're talking about. So you could take the weight off your shoulders and be at peace with yourself, and go find a job.
Well, here's a question, and there's probably not a good way to answer it, but I'm going to ask it anyway.
Oh, man.
Would somebody who's achieved enlightenment say that they've achieved enlightenment?
No, they wouldn't. And the reason why they wouldn't, because they would realize that there is no reason to actually tell anybody in the world that they've attained enlightenment. Okay? It doesn't help anybody. See, attaining enlightenment, you'll understand. Okay, I'm telling you now what is understood, but it doesn't mean because you understand you attain enlightenment. This is just what happens. You realize that there's no difference between you and the other people. And of course, a lot of people can conceive of this specific idea. But you also realize that when you're claiming that you're stating enlightenment, you're claiming a falsity, even if you had attained enlightenment. You're claiming a falsity. who is it that has attained enlightenment? What have they gotten enlightened to? And how is it going to benefit someone else, in the street or your friend or family that knows that you have attained enlightenment? Okay? So those who have attained enlightenment will not in any way whatsoever insinuate they have by saying they're not.
Unless it's the Chan master who knows you expect that they wouldn't say that they've achieved enlightenment, so therefore they would tell you they have just to screw with your head.
Probably you'll have, those beings who will do that. Just to mess with you. They'll claim they're enlightened, and then they'll do some stupid, crazy shit that makes them look like they're not enlightened. And you'll probably sit there and go, "You're crazy." I tell you a story. A true story. There was a monk out in China who had a teacher and was with that teacher for a very, very long time. And was like bowing and cleaning and what the hell am I doing? This is nothing. And he tells the teacher, "I want to go to, I believe it was Wu Taishan, to meet Manjushri Bodhisattva. And, I want to go and learn cultivation from him or go to that temple or go to that mountain and find Manjushri Bodhisattva or just find an enlightened master there because it's Manjushri Bodhisattva's mountain." So the teacher was like, "Okay, you know what? On your way, I want you to stop at this person's place." I think her name was, I think she was a prostitute, or she was a farmer who had pigs, but I think she was a prostitute. Anywho, go to this woman and give her this letter from me, and then you get on your way to Taishan. On the way out there, you bring this letter to her. Okay, no problem. So he goes on his way, and he's like, "I'm going to find the master there, and I'm really going to get going into my enlightenment." So he's walking, going on his path, and he ends up at this woman's house or whatever. And he gives her the letter and says, "I'm from this such and such teacher." I forgot the name, and he wants me to give you this letter, So he goes, "Okay, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Do you want to stay? Do you want anything to eat? You thirsty?" And all the niceties and formalities. And the monk's like, No, I'm on my way to Wu Taishan. I really want to go. He's like determined he's going to find his master there. He's going to get enlightenment there. He's going to find something better, more higher cultivation than what he was doing with his former teacher. So she goes, "Okay, good, be on your way, be safe, whatever, all the niceties. Try to offer a nice, place to stay for a little while." So he goes on his way. Finally, he gets up to Wu Taishan. And he's up there walking, and I believe it was that he's seen an old man walking along the way. Didn't pay any mind to the old man. But the old man asked him, "Hey, what are you doing?" He goes, "I'm off to see I'm off to find a teacher here. I'm off to find a master at the temple here. I really, I left my teacher." He goes, "Oh, really? Oh, right. So who's your teacher? Where'd you come from?" And he tells this old man the teacher's name and the temple's name or whatnot. And he goes, "And then what happened after you left him?" Something like this. And he goes, "Well, I went to another woman." He goes, "What was the woman's name?" And he tells the woman's name. I forgot the woman's name. And then he says, "I brought a letter to her and whatever. And then I had to come on my way. I really want to find a teacher." He goes, "What do you want to find a teacher for? You had a great teacher already." Because what are you talking about? He had me bowing all day long and cleaning and doing menial tasks. I mean, I wasn't getting any further than where I was doing. I mean, I really want to get to Wu Taishan. This is Manjushri's place. I was, yeah, okay. So he goes on his way. He goes, "Go ahead, go on your way up to the temple." I believe that's part of the story goes. Or he sits talking with the old man more, and the old man says, "Well, you're really out of luck, mister." He goes, "What do you mean?" He says, "Well, your teacher originally was Amitabha Buddha, and the woman he had you meet was Guanyin Bodhisattva. And the letter he gave to her told him, well, the reason for him staying here is gone. His student left to go to Wu Taishan, so he's on his way back. Why don't you come along with me?" What? The monk was like, "What, are you kidding me? Yeah, that was Amitabha Buddha, man, and that was Guanyin Bodhisattva. You just missed up two great damn teachers. What's wrong with you? You can't even see the greatness in front of your eyes. Your teacher was giving you the method to break through views. Don't you understand?" So the monk wants to hurry back. By the time he got back, the both were gone. He later found that the old man was Manjushri Bodhisattva.
It's a good
It's
story.
just, yeah, it's just, we are just, we got to break through views, and that's really important. Our expectations, our ideas about how things are supposed to be or what we're supposed to be getting are what obstruct us. I mean, these are causes and conditions, and basically like our karma. And again, let's look at two things here: causes and karma. What is the difference? Cause is a particular action which will lead to a particular effect. Karma is a general process by which the inevitably happens. Inevitable things happen based on the cause. So these things are, though slightly different, they are mutually intertwined. You know, and we have to understand this if we want to break through birth and death in one lifetime. A lot of people are very anxious to do this. You got to follow the rules, and there are specific rules. Um, you don't necessarily need to leave the home life, but if you don't leave the home life and you stay as the way you are, you have to really work at yourself. I'm going to lay out the hard part, and I'm going to tell you the easy part. The hard part is changing your views, investigating the mind. So you need to have samadhi power, what we'll call concentration strength. You got to do some Chan practice. You need sitting practice, which allows you to cultivate the mind, allows you to investigate the mind and break through the senses, untie the senses, and illuminate the senses, and then you see your original nature. Okay. Now, in order for that to be successful, you have to cut out greed, cut out anger, cut out ignorance, and cut out sexual desire. If you really want it that bad, then all of this extra stuff just doesn't matter to you. Okay, that's just something you got to do. And as you're doing that, you further refine your practice, and you start constraining the mind. You have to put the mind in a narrow place. That means taking vows. And the reason you take vows has nothing to do with worshiping something or following a dogma. It has nothing to do with that at all. What it has to do with is watching your mind. It's being mindful. These are methods that help you to be mindful. What is your goal? I want to attain enlightenment. I want to be a Buddha. I want to end birth and death in one lifetime, in this lifetime. I vow I will do that. Good. That means you will listen and follow the rules. Because if you're vowing that you will accomplish it in this lifetime, that means you are promising yourself you will follow the rules that help you to attain this specific outcome. And then you make another vow that you will follow the rules because you want to catch every nook and cranny. You don't want to start, finding loopholes, because believe me, your mind will find loopholes.
Yeah.
You will find every loophole and you go, well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't fit into this. It's not what I'm talking about. You will find loopholes and you will jump through them. And you will go back and forth with them, and then you'll hate yourself because one day you'll realize that your vows actually meant that you shouldn't be jumping through loopholes. And you sit there, oh man, and then you retake your vows, and then you'll break them again by finding more loopholes. Your mind will always find a way. Your conscious mind, your false thinking mind, and the ego will always find a way to make you break the rules. Your internal demons and the external demons will always pressure you. They'll always do that.
I would assume it's a hell of a lot harder for someone to achieve the Tao or to achieve enlightenment in the home life as opposed to the left home life.
But they're both very hard and they're both very easy. If you've already been out in the world, you've been in the home life and you've experienced this stuff already, and you're already made your mind, you have nothing left, and you go take the left home vows, the precepts, and you go out into the monk world, and there you go. You're fully headstrong, and you stick to it. You will succeed very quickly and very easily at attaining your goal. On the other hand, you're in the home life, but then you want to leave and you want to go and attain your enlightenment, but you end up holding onto views of pleasant feelings and relaxation as being a monk, though you have work to do. It's kind of very easy and not so easy. Some have very harsh rules, some have very lenient rules, some places, some temples, some monasteries, and you may fall into being lazy and you won't get anywhere. Sitting in meditation to you is just like hanging out under the sun taking a tan. You're not getting anything done. But
So
then you have those.
again, the mind's going to find those loopholes just as quickly at the monastery as it will in the home life, is what you're saying.
Oh, definitely, definitely. I mean, someone who wants to quit smoking will always find a reason why they should be smoking again.
Yeah, yeah, true.
Okay. I mean, I used to smoke cigarettes. I smoked when I was 9 years old, all up till I was around 20. And I cultivated all through that time, but I cultivated intensely, like 6 hours a day. I mean, straight up with meditation in the morning, practicing at night, and then practicing while sleeping. I mean, I was really hardcore into all this stuff. I'm still the same now, but I mean, it's just I was really into all this stuff at a young age. So even the smoking wasn't a hindrance. But I would want to quit here and there. And I quit and then make excuse and quit, make excuse, go back, whatever. Always had some type of excuse that pulled me back. And I found the root cause of that too was because I'm not going to talk about past lives. I'll just talk about present. And past lives could be another conversation. um, when I was like 3 years old, I had pictures of me with the cigarettes in my mouth, not lit, but holding cigarette, carton, a pack of cigarettes in my hand, cigarettes in my mouth. Everyone thought it was cute. My father didn't like it. But I found pictures of it when I was like almost 19, 20. I found pictures of this and I was slapped myself in the face and I go, oh my God, no wonder. I had this infused since I'm like 3 years old.
And probably long before, yeah.
And then even after I quit, coming back, I quit in 20 years old. Coming back to China, society here is everyone smokes. Everyone and their mother smokes, And then when you're looking to do business or meeting new friends or whatnot, and they offer a cigarette, you don't take it. They usually viewed it as being impolite. So, or when I was seeing patients with some doctors out here once in a while, they would smoke and drink, and I'm sitting there going, "Are you kidding me?" And to really get involved and go treat patients with them, you follow along. So it was on and off for a long time. But because you stick to practice, I mean, I broke my rules, but I really kept going in for practice. So, it doesn't make it okay, but it just means that I'm still practicing. I'm not letting it hinder my practice. I still had to go and do it. Do it, really go for it. But anywho, that's what I'm saying about causes and karma and conditions. These things are strong influences in our life, especially if we're looking to break the cycle of birth and death. You really got to grab a hold of the mind. You got to put it in like horse goggles, where you can only see the road in front of you. Because even if a person becomes a monk, if they're not, doesn't mean they're going to be enlightened right away. It doesn't mean they're any better than anybody else who hasn't left the home life. They're still human. They still have what they left the home life with. They still carry the home life in their mind. They have to sift through all that, transform their views or put down their views. Then they can go further. So think of it as a whole re-education. Not a brainwashing, just an understanding and investigating of the mind of why these things are in their mind, and they got to break it out. They got to chop out the roots. So it's hard work. That's the hard work of a monk's life.
There's fewer external distractions, but the internal distractions would remain, I guess you could say.
Magnified, because now they're like fish out of water, gasping for air. It's really obvious that they're going to die, and they're flopping and flipping all over the place. Gasping. Well, I'm sorry, fish don't gasp for air, right? They gasp for water. Okay, so they're gasping for water. They're trying to take the water, but there is no water. They're flapping all over the place. But imagine you throw someone in the water, and you put their head underwater, and they're going to be gasping for air, but pulling in water, and their body is going through convulsions. They're flopping their hands and everything all over the place, and then all of a sudden, they're dead. Okay, so this is what our mind is like when there's no stimulus, nothing stimulating it, and the habits that we've had for thinking. So nothing stimulating the function or the functioning manner of our false thinking. So it's like you had sexual desire before, but now it's like tenfold. You're walking around with your robe, and the robe is sticking up, and you're going, "Oh shit!" You got to calm that guy down. You got to change your mind. Therefore, that's what meditation is for. And that's what practice is for. It helps you to control your mind and understand where these influences are coming from. What is the cause of these things? So, as a monk or as a at-home person or left-home person, you're ending birth and death in one lifetime. You have to investigate the mind. You have to gain control of the mind, and you have to follow the rules to attain this way. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. No matter what one person says, "Well, that's not the way of the Tao." I'm sorry, the Tao doesn't have a way. When it's manifested in expression, you can say that there's a philosophy to it.
So I'm going to throw this out there, and I don't know if maybe it's a whole different subject or a whole different topic, but do you think some of these these things that arise in the mind, are they created by the ego because it fears its own demise?
Wow, this is going to go into a little bit deeper, but we'll try to keep it at a superficial level, just because the concept is it can go very deep into different types of consciousness out there, the 8 types of consciousness. But the ego, yes, the ego is going to try to, the ego's views of self. These things are going to have to, is like jumping out of a box, screaming, ah, and everyone's jumping, going, oh my God, what is that? It needs attention. It wants you to grasp. It needs this. It needs you to use your senses to create false views. Our senses are just a big magnet of helping us get false views. Okay? 6 senses, which includes the mind. Okay, so yes, exactly what you said. The ego will do these things. So these methods, they're out there. They're all over the place. But we don't follow the rules, so we don't get any further than where we gotten already. And what are these rules? Well, it's very clear. You stop being greedy, you stop being angry, and you stop being ignorant. And you lessen your attraction to sexual desires. And how do you do that? Well, this is just a whole other show altogether. Because really, that can go very far into different states and what arises when you're doing this and that, when you're chopping out greed, anger, ignorance, sexual desire. So we can cover that some other time. But you got to make a distinction between, what is your thoughts and what is a false thought. And understand that they're both false. Okay? Where do thoughts arise from? Where do emotions arise from? Desires. Where do they arise from too? Okay, you got to find the origin of these things. I'm not going to tell you what the origin is, but you got to find it. And you got to find it through investigating the mind. You can do that through chat. Now, there's a lot of, there's a sutra, all the sutras really talk about this, but they do so in many different ways. Okay? One of them I'm going to speak on very, very little bit tonight on this topic is the Shurangama Sutra and the Shurangama Mantra. If anyone has a chance to get the Shurangama Sutra, I do suggest you do the Master Xuanhua commentary. You can find Master Jin Kong's commentary somewhere on the Shurangama Sutra as well. I only read the Master Xuanhua because that's the one I got first, and that's what I've been working on for years. But the Shurangama Sutra literally talks directly about how to chop out false views, talks directly on the mind, how to return the mind to itself, how to illuminate the senses and untie the senses and end birth and death right here, right now in this lifetime. It does that. And you know why a lot of people don't like the Shurangama Sutra? Because they say the Buddha never spoke it. But that's false, because it speaks exactly the way the Buddha spoke. Oh, okay, I don't know how the Buddha spoke, but if we're going to take all the sutras out there, it fits perfectly. And if it was not spoken by the Buddha, this sutra still could be considered a sutra because it speaks directly right to the mind ground, chopping out the root causes of all the things we've manifested in our life. Now, there's an aspect of the Shurangama Sutra at the end, which talks on the 50 skandha demon states, which goes into just, you can have 50,000, you can have 500, you can have 5 million types of demonic states in the mind, false views that arise in the mind during cultivation. And it happens generally to people anyway, but they're not cultivators, so they don't recognize it. But they just speak 50 of them. The Buddha speaks on 50 of them as a general way of letting people know, hey, this is, what's out there. And they help you become a mirror for your own mind. Now, a lot of people don't like this sutra because it speaks directly to the mind. It says, this is how it is, and that's it. So deal with it. It kind of reveals, takes the sheet off the ghost floating around your bedroom. It kind of reveals the true face of things. So a lot of people don't like it. They want to make claims about it. Now, the Shurangama mantra, has 5 assemblies. There's 5 parts to it. And they all have a function. It's not a praise, just the praising this and praising that. There's reasons for praise. There's reasons for speeches of praise, sentences of praise to Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, gods, and etc. There's reasons for that. And those reasons are for function, for cultivation. not going to get into that now. That's a commentary on the mantra, and that could be another time. Um, Basically, the Buddha had said that if recited uh, sincerely, you can end birth and death in one lifetime. So, I mean, it's right there. And what we spoke on before, that the methods are easy to attain, but the practice is just very difficult to do. When, as a long, long time ago, the practices were easy to do, but the methods were very hard to attain.
So to
You know?
speak it sincerely, you just got to speak it sincerely one time.
What does sincere mean now? I'm really going to say it. I'm really going into it now, right? No, it doesn't mean you're like all jumpy, ready to go for it, you know? Sincerely means there's no false thinking while you're reciting it.
Piece of cake, right?
Right, try it. Try reciting Amitabha, Namo Amitabha Buddha without false thoughts. Try. The most easiest method. It's a very, very difficult method. Because who can really truly do that? The Amitabha Buddha stated in his 18th vow, recite my name once, twice, 3 times, 7 days, 10 days. Recite it as much as 7 days sincerely. And if by the time you finish your lifetime here, when you're dead and you're ready to go on to the next stage, if I don't be there to take you to my land, then I don't attain the right enlightenment. So he's like, look, man, this is the way it's going to be. But if you're doing it right way and I don't show up, then I lied to you and I'm not truly enlightened, And we'll talk about the rebirth in the Amitabha's Pure Land in another show. Anyway, sincerely means you have no false thinking. That means there's no discriminating thinking. That means you're not saying Namo Sadant Hoa and thinking, when is this over? Or am I saying this right? Or what is that feeling? Or what is that thought I just had? Or I have to go to the bathroom. Or my legs are hurting. And you're going, ooh, is my phone going off? I thought I just heard my phone. Or what am I going to do tomorrow? Or you start reciting the 5 hearts, the part of the mantra goes to the 5 hearts. You're like, and you go, oh, yeah, my girlfriend's calling me today. It's like, we're going to have some ice cream. Yeah, that's not sincerity. Sincerity is you're doing it and there's nothing moving your mind. The pain in your legs is no longer pain in your legs. The sky above and the earth below don't even exist. There's nothing discriminating that you're sitting on something or you're standing. I don't suggest you drive a car into it. I was driving a car reciting Om, and all of a sudden I was on exit 14 on the Bell Parkway in New York, in Brooklyn. And about a minute and a half later, I ended up at the end of the bridge. And I snapped out of it. I said, what the hell was that?
How far is that?
Well, the bridge is about 2 miles or 2.5 miles long, or 2 miles long itself. And I just got on the expressway at exit 14. I think it's exit 14. Which was it was the 14th Avenue exit, or 14th Avenue entrance to the Belt Parkway in Brooklyn, and in Bensonhurst or Onondaga Heights. And I got on, and I was reciting Om as I was doing it, as I was driving. And this was last year, actually. And I'm driving, and I just passed the exit for 14th Avenue. I remember now. I got on at Bell Parkway entrance to the ramp, to the highway, and I just passed 14th Avenue. I started reciting Om, just past the friggin' sign that said 14th Avenue exit. And I said, oh, I'm going to say some Oming. I'm going to Om on my way home. And I'm Oming. And all of a sudden, I look at the time. I forget the time now, but all I know is that it was one specific time. And I was nearing the entrance to the ramp that leads to the Verrazano Bridge. And all of a sudden, I'm at the end of the Verrazano Bridge. I just paid the tolls. It was like I just got down and I just paid the tolls, and I'm still oming, and it just settled down, and I'm looking around. I was like, holy crap. What time is it? I look, and it's only a minute and a half past the time I began oming. And so I don't suggest people to recite mantras and really be so engulfed in it when you're driving.
Don't
You can recite
and drive.
Well, you can recite Namo Amitabha, or Sitata Patra, which is a Sidando Bodala. You can recite that. But anything that's all of it requires really deep concentration. But if you're casually just saying it, sure. But if you're gonna apply your deep concentration ability when you're doing heavy machinery like a car, I don't suggest doing that. If I was just oming for the hell of it, going driving, no problem, big deal. But I was really getting deeper into the recitation. Anyway, just a little side note. So the sincerity means you are not being moved by thoughts, emotions, sensations, visions, okay, states, bliss feelings, or whatnot. These things will come to you when you're meditating or when you're reciting a mantra, okay, or even reading a sutra. Because if you're wholeheartedly doing something, nothing else is going to break your concentration. You're not ignoring, you're not indifferent. You cannot be those ways or you're not getting anywhere. You cannot be indifferent because you're still in a state. You're still holding views. You cannot be ignoring something because you're still holding views. Okay? You must stay focused. And you get that way through practice. Now, it helps if you follow the rules, like some of the rules are that you take, if you're not a left-home monk, if you're not a left-home person, you take 5 precepts. And you don't kill. That means you're not killing people or bugs or whatnot. But you also don't enable the killing. That means you don't eat meat. Okay? Some say it's okay to eat chicken eggs. It's okay to eat eggs, sure, because you're not killing the chicken to get the eggs, but the chickens are cooped up for the mannerism of laying eggs. So they're still in a manner of suffering so you can feel full. If you want to take it to that level. But it's somewhat okay, but still, you want to go really straight up for it, no eggs, no dairy.
What about voting? You're basically condoning some of these butchers' office.
What? You say voting?
Well, a lot of these people, you vote them in, and I mean,
They butcher every countries. Yeah, I know.
It's like condoning what they've, in a sense, the way I don't vote for the simple fact that unless I knew somebody was going to get in there and be sincere, but I mean, it seems like no matter who you vote for, they're both a vote for the war party.
If we were voting about 75, 80 years ago, I would say it still had merit. But I don't vote either. I never voted. I don't believe in the process of voting because of what we've been having already. I mean, I was born in 1980, and when I was able to have the capacity to understand voting, it didn't make sense because we had the same stuff going on since I was a child, and before that, I had experiences of other people telling me what was going on. So it was like, why vote? I mean, they just put whoever they want in office anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but if it was in a matter where very straight up and legit vote, because it may be a good influence on the rest of the people. That's okay. People can vote now and just choose not to vote. And then how are they going to choose a president? And then you just say, well, we want this specific person in there. Who cares who you chose?
Yeah.
And then that's power. But anyway.
Sorry to segue down that trail.
Yes. So, the ending birth and death, you take your 5 precepts, you don't enable killing. Okay? You don't double talk, you don't lie. People talk about the sexual desire part. You cut out sexual desire. It means you cut out all the things that enable you to have sexual thoughts, emotions, and desires and attachments to those, which is music, a video, pictures. You cut these out. And also staring at a woman or a man and drooling over them. Well, I'm not having sex with them, so I'm just thinking about having sex. Ha ha ha. Am I breaking the precepts? Yeah, because your mind, everything comes from the mind. You are still nourishing the root cause of your desire by holding on to these visions or views or emotions and thoughts about the opposite sex.
Feeding
same sex.
The attachments, right?
Yeah, you're feeding the attachments no matter what. Whether you're doing it with your body, you're doing it with your mouth, or you're doing it with your mind. Okay? Then there's the intoxicants part. Well, back in the Buddhist time, it was no wine. The intoxicant was wine. Everyone loved drinking, and they would get stupid and do crazy things. So it's like no wine because it makes you, it helps you lose control of your concentration, helps you lose control of your body, mouth, and mind, and you start creating negative karma of the body, mouth, and mind. That's why there was no drinking. Nowadays, we have drinking, you have drugs, cigarettes, prescription drugs. All these things are intoxicants. You have foods that intoxicate the body. Now, it doesn't mean it makes you stupid and drunk, but they cause your emotions to go out of whack and start influencing the way you think and the way you behave. So therefore, they're intoxicating. Okay, meaning if you're addicted to smoking cigarettes, and you quit, and you're going to act like an ass for like about a week because you don't have a cigarette, well, obviously, these things are bad for you because they inhibit the way you act without them. Okay, and when you're smoking, you're all nice and happy. You're still not being a true person because you're still under this type of influence of the attachment to cigarettes. Same thing for alcohol or anything else. So it's detachment from anything that causes you to move your mind in greed or in desire. That's intoxicating. That's really going a little further into that one. Okay, and then you have the other one. So we don't have to get too far. But you have the 5 precepts. Some take 8 precepts, which goes a little deeper. I'm not going to go into them right now. But then you have to set a time for practice, and you really got to investigate the mind. That's basically the path. You can do it through Chan, sitting, investigating the mind. You can do it through recitation. Either way, you got to be sincere about it and cut out false thinking. So in the beginning, you'll have false thinking. And then as you go along, as long as you keep doing it, things will go accordingly, and eventually they'll slow down. You practice longer every day, you get ahead faster. You practice an hour, you only get ahead an hour. You practice 5 hours, now you're ahead 5 hours.
Well, I'd be careful on that one, because if you're just extending your practice thinking that, like if you're really not into it and you're just extending it thinking that that's going to help add momentum.
Wrong.
Yeah.
Right. You have to have the concentration power. You really means you have to apply your mind to what you're doing. You cannot just say, okay, I'm going to sit. My legs hurt. Shit, my legs hurt. Oh my God, my legs are killing me, but I'm sitting. Okay. No, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
You can use the pain to help you investigate the root of that pain. It's because I put my legs in this pretzel-like pain in the ass situation here, in the lotus posture. Like, my legs are killing me, my knees are hurting, my feet are numb, I'm getting all the prickle feelings and the numb pins and needles feeling, but you keep going, you sit there, and you can use that as a way to investigate the mind. Who said you're supposed to react to that kind of thing? Where is this reaction arising from? Why are these thoughts arising, and where do they come from? What was the origin of believing that you have to have these thoughts and have to entertain these thoughts? Because if you're entertaining a thought, that means you want something to happen for it. It means you want to release your legs from the posture and make them feel at ease. You have an attachment to feeling pleasantries. Is it wrong? It doesn't matter if it's wrong, or it doesn't matter if it's right. It just means you have this attachment. So you want to go further. And you go further, and you put your legs back into your full lotus, and you apply yourself in concentration. Your legs hurt again, you pass through it, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, all of a sudden you go in 2 hours. Your legs don't hurt. But when you snap out of it, you get your legs out of the posture, you still are feeling the prickles and the numbness and the little pains here and there. Well, you got to do some things to revive the joints. You got to do a little toina, a little massage on the joints and the ankles, knees, and toes, and the muscles on the legs. So you be nice to your body because you need it for practice. The direct method. Put down the ego and get rid of defiling thoughts. Who's feeling bored? Who's feeling pissed off? Who's feeling frustrated? Who can't do the bowing? Who can't do the sitting? Who's just sitting there going, what the hell am I doing here? Who is that? You're looking for that. And you got to cut it out. That's what, put down the ego. Get rid of defiling thoughts.
So here's a question I'll throw out. Does it matter how much karma you're bringing into this lifetime? Like, if you get a real heavy load of karma, can you still achieve exit the wheel, I guess, so to speak, in this lifetime, no matter how much karma you have?
Well, I'm not quoting Obama, but yes, you can.
Yes, you can. Change you can believe in.
Well, this is one of the things you can believe in. Okay. Yes, you can do that, but it only can be done if it is done with sincerity, which goes back to what sincerity is. Complete focus, concentration, unmoving mind. It means non-discriminating. That means you have to have practice in order to attain that state of non-discriminating, and then all of a sudden, boom, You hit a state of sincerity, and you're starting to nourish now the outcome that you're desiring. But if you're doing it one day, oh, I'm sitting really good today, like you finished meditation, wow, it was really good. It was about an hour and a half, and I really sat in. I think I really got far today. Then tomorrow you only do 30 minutes. And the next day you do an hour. The next day you do about 10 because you feel like you want to go running and then go jump rope and go to the gym and exercise. It's not going to work that way. The rules are you do it every day, same time. You develop the consistency. Same time every day. And if you're going to go further one day, you're going to go the same amount the day after. And if you don't want to go further than that amount, then you just stay at that same amount every single day. But if you go further, don't go less. Don't go, oh, I don't have enough time to do 2 hours today. I'm only going to do an hour and 59 minutes. No. Karma doesn't know the time. It's not about karma knowing the time. It doesn't matter about the Tao knowing the time. It matters about your mind and how you're applying it.
So if you're still in the home life, how do you, things always come up in your home life. How do you do your practice the same time every day? And how do you do, how do you do that?
You have to realize if after 6 o'clock in the morning, there's commotion going on in your house, wake up at 4:30.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah. If you're going to sleep at 11 o'clock, you go, oh, man, I'm not going to be able to wake up at 4:30. You wake up at 4:30 anyway, and you pass out while you're doing your meditation because you're waking up at 4:30 the same time every day to do your practice, even if you pass out, because you're applying your mind to be awake at that time to do it, and you go and do it. You don't purposely sit there and go, okay, I'm going to go to sleep while I'm in full lotus. It's really hard to fall asleep in full lotus until you get used to that posture, and then you'll end up feeling very comfortable, and you probably can fall asleep in it. But until that time, because you're waking up going for that specific thing every day, and you're passing out, you're reciting, you're Nama Amitabha Nama Amitabha Buddha. You're doing the great compassion mantra, Nama Haladana Dalaye, and you pass out. Then you go, Nama Aliyah Bodhisattva. You're passing out, and you wake up, and your head is shaking, and your body jolts up, and you wake up, and you're continuing from where you last left off. That's not that it's okay, but at least you got up at 4:30 in the morning to consistently do your practice and stick to your rules and to the rules that will get you to where you got to go. Now, because you're going to get up at 4:30, you got to do all your stuff before you go to sleep. And if you set up a time that's comfortable for you, 10:30 to get up at 4:30 in the morning, then you go to sleep at 10:30 regardless. Or if you really cannot go to sleep at 10:30, no matter what, you still get up at 4:30 to do what you got to do. Because there's no mercy in karma. There's no mercy in what you're doing. Either you're doing it or you're not. That means either you're getting it or you're not getting it. You got to apply. You got to be strict with yourself because there's no other way to do it. You can be lax with yourself, and that, you know what? It could be a way to do it. Maybe about 10 lifetimes later, you may attain something. And I'm not exaggerating. It may take many, many lifetimes to get somewhere. Now you just take your time. But
no, it's like filling a bucket, right? If you just fill it one drop at a time, it's going to take a long time to fill a bucket. Whereas if you pour water in quickly, it's obviously going to fill up more quickly.
Yeah, well, I like that method, actually. You can use that method to practice mindfulness and investigating the mind. You fill up a bucket one drop at a time. And you watch it happening. You let it drop. You hit the bottom of the bucket, and you just let another one drop. And let that hit the bottom of the bucket. And you keep doing it. And you keep doing it. And you really see what goes on in your mind. Okay? You can use that as a method. That's a really fun method. I never did that before. I sprayed water on my students when they meditated, but I never had them do that.
You might have some students revolt.
They're probably like... wait for the whole bucket to fill up and then pour it on me when I'm sitting. There you go. Here's your effing enlightenment. But truthfully, this is the way it is. You apply your mind straight up to what you're doing. Some people say, well, the Buddhism has it one way and Taoism has it another way. Really? I never knew that. I can say is you're going to do Qigong and you're going to do an hour, 2 hours of Qigong, and you're only getting an hour, 2 hours of progress. What is the progress you're getting? Oh, to rejuvenate the body and purify the body. Okay, good. 20 years down the line, I'm purifying my body. 30 years down the line, I'm still purifying my body. Now you're 75 years old, like, I'm still purifying my body. 82 years old, I'm still purifying my body. Beep, you got. So do both at the same damn time. That's more progress right there. It's like doing 2 hours of Qigong, you're doing 4 or 5 hours of Qigong by applying this one thing. Make rules for yourself and stick to them, and make rules that comply with saving your essence, not grasping with your senses, and not developing false thinking. And then you'll go even further ahead in your practice. I mean, you'll get really far ahead, man. Qigong, you'll develop a great energy, you'll feel strong and powerful. And then your mind, you won't develop the ego thinking about, I'm great and I have supernatural powers and I'm a Taoist. Who gives two craps if you're a Taoist or not? Or if you have spiritual abilities on it? It's not making, it's not filling up people's bowls. They're not getting full. They're not eating and getting full from your attainments. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, most good Qigong teachers, that they won't teach you Qigong unless you also agree to do meditation, because again, it's like if you power up the body and the mind's not prepared for it, then that's a dangerous thing.
Yes, you turn into an egotistical maniac, and we'll call them demonic states, and you start doing not so good things with your practice, your attainments, and those attainments are temporary. So if you're a quote-unquote Taoist, then you have, in the Taoist tradition, you have specific ways to practice. Whether people say, oh, those are religious Taoists, so that's not the real Tao. I'm sorry, there's no such thing. There is a way of practice. The religious Taoist has its way of attaining realization of the Tao, of realization of the non-discriminating mind, that which is pervasive, all pervasive, neither here nor there, coming nor going kind of thing. Okay, they have their ways of doing it, and it's very similar to the way we do it in Buddhist practice to a degree. If you're cultivating for just attaining immortality, cultivating the Dantian and all that stuff, then you're doing your Qigong practice, your energy work practice, your meditation for developing your energy and all that stuff. But you need to go further with your mind. Just cultivating energy doesn't make you anything special. A lot of people practice Qigong and think they're great because they just practice Qigong. They can feel Qi, they can project Qi, whether it's to move objects or just do some hands-on healing, or they can hear thoughts or make people feel certain bliss states or whatnot. Who cares? That's not big. That's not important. And that's not even really special. It's special because not a lot of people can do it, but really, when a lot of people can do it, that's just kindergarten.
Right.
Okay, so if you're ending birth and death with the Taoist methods, you realize that the Buddhist methods and the Taoist methods at that highest level is very, very similar, because it all has to deal with ending attachments to views of self, stopping your sexual desires. I don't care. Well, not that I don't care. It doesn't matter if you have tantric practices or if you have sexual practices or dual cultivation practices in Taoism that can help you attain great states. If you're not leaving the cycle of birth and death, those states mean nothing. Okay, and if you think you're guaranteed that you can leave the cycle of birth and death from doing those things, show me someone who has.
Yeah.
And then, are you actually doing exactly what those people have done? Not the practice itself, but the rules they follow so they can practice. Understand, it's two different things. We can take the method of practice and just practice that, and feel things similar and what the old ones had felt, and get somewhere okay. But are we practicing the methods that allowed those ancient ones to practice the methods? There's the rules of practice, and then there's the practice itself. If we don't have the rules of practice down, then the practice itself isn't going to get us where we think we're going.
So we're coming up to an ending here, pushing an hour. Time flies when you're trying to achieve liberation.
Yes, that's very true, because in stories of Chan Buddhism and Chan practice, some monks used to write the word in Chinese death on their forehead. So if they seen themselves in the mirror, they remind themselves that they're going to die. So they better get their practicing on. Don't waste time. That's the thing. Time flies. You don't know if the ceiling is going to fall on you, or if your chair is going to transform into a spike and you're going to be sitting on a pin. You don't know that. You got to get to cracking, Get the cracking.
But that's,
you
That's kind of an interesting writing death in your head as opposed to our modern society where people actually use their heads to sell corporate advertising space.
Yeah. What
Dell
I've done,
inside.
yeah, what I what I've done was I take an incense and I burned it upon my third eye, well, the space of the third eye, the yin tongue part between the forehead, between the eyebrows. So every time I look in the mirror, I would see that little deformity there, and I would know you got to keep your shit straight. You got to get to practicing. You got to get to cracking. You got to get going on this. You can't waste your time. Even if you have other things that you're doing, you can't waste your time. Even if you're doing, you're a smoker, or you're an alcoholic, or you have these types of habits or whatnot, you still got to do your practice. Eventually, you'll be able to put these things down. Do they hinder? Do the intoxicants hinder you? Yes, they do. Just remember this before we cut off. The intoxicants hinder your practice because when you're sitting there in samadhi after an hour and a half, or in deep concentration for an hour and a half or 2 hours, your body starts to, unless you've gotten to deep enough states where everything shuts down and you're doing internal breath, you got into through the four different states, the jhanas or whatever, which are still not, if you reach the fourth jhana, you're still not got anything special. You just finally got out of kindergarten. Now you got other stuff you got to do. But your body will react to the not having of the things you're addicted to, and it'll start interrupting your concentration, and you'll start having thoughts about things, and you move you, and you'll start to feel like you want a cigarette, or start to feel like you want to drink, and then you just got moved in your mind. That's why intoxicants also hinder your practice. They also make your body sick. They also inhibit you from thinking a little clearly. So, these are reasonings for not doing certain things. So stick to the rules of what your practice is supposed to be. And then understand, just because old ancient ones have attained by practicing the methods they practiced, doesn't mean you practicing those methods will make you attain or will allow you to attain those things. Just because the Buddha said if you sincerely cultivate the Shurangama mantra, and you recite it with a sincere mind, one mind undisturbed, you will attain, you will leave the cycle of birth and death in one lifetime. Just because he said that doesn't mean that you do it, you'll get it. It just means that you have to follow the rules for that practice. Then you'll actually get somewhere. Okay? So we have to understand that there's a reasoning for everything. In the old days, no one truly, well, old days, I mean, very, very old. We didn't have the stimulus that we have now of TV and radio and internet and telephones and porn and all that stuff. So it was very easy to cut out sexual desires. I mean, you had prostitutes then, and very easy to go find them. So that was the only temptation. In the ancient cultures, no one really went and played with themselves, unless you were probably a prostitute and you were really heavily into sex, and that's what you did. Men or women. So it was very easy to attain and cut off sexual desire. So they made it a standard because it's very easy to fall into sexual desires. Cut out sexual desire. Because we were able to do that, we attained. And this is how you're going to attain. No one's special. Really, we're not. Everyone, basically, this is the way it is. This is the road. If you're going from New York to California, there's a road that takes you right through there. If you start going to Dakota, you start going to Florida first, and you're not getting to California on the time that you could be, you probably get there in a month. Someone says, you'll get there in 4 days of driving. Guaranteed, 5 days at least, at tops. Okay, and you start driving. Oh, well, I'm going to go to Chicago, and then I'm going to stop by Texas, and you probably end up getting there in 2 weeks. Oh, they said I'll get there in 5 days. Well, if you're following this road, you'll get there in 5 days. Okay, same thing with cultivation. So if you're looking to end the cycle of birth and death, remember you got to put down the ego and get rid of defiling thoughts. And there's a whole mess of methods to practice for that specific thing. And if you're not following those methods, those rules, you're not getting anywhere. And if people don't like it, what can I tell you? You can't say anything. Because it's just basically what it is. You can do all the qigong in the world, do all the energy work in the world, and all you're going to get is temporary states of bliss, temporary states in the mind. You probably get tastes of awareness of some wisdom here and there. But you're not getting it. And these things are temporary. You got to keep going. You got cultivation of concentration ability, now you're getting somewhere. And you keep it up, you get even further. Remember about nirvana. It's not necessarily an after-death state. It's a certification to an attainment of a principle. It is a Sanskrit word interpreted to mean neither produced nor destroyed. Now, I'm reading off my notes for this aspect. Okay, this is quoted from the Shurangama Sutra's commentary of which is Master Xuanhua. Since it is neither birth and death, since it is neither, produced nor destroyed, birth and death are ended. One reaches nirvana when one reaches the position of not being subject to birth and death. It is not the Buddha dying. When the Buddha dies, he enters nirvana. He enters and certifies to the principle of nirvana with its four virtues of permanence, bliss, true self, and purity. Nirvana is emphatically not death. Ta-da! Okay, so don't think, I'm going to die, I'm going to get nirvana. No, it's not a death. It's not really death. That happens when you're dead. You get a taste of it. The Buddha tasted nirvana when he was, what was the story? He was watching a plow going by when he was a child. He was sitting against a tree, and all of a sudden he got into the state of ultimate bliss, a total bliss state, it was like nothing existed, but everything existed, but there was no discriminating thoughts about it. Nothing was produced, nothing was destroyed, things were thus. But then he realized that state happened to him when he attained enlightenment. And he was like, oh, crap, I got there when I was like 9. That's what it tastes like. Yeah, man. He's like, really? Wow. So, there's a lot more work to it. But basically, I just, we spoke on and laid out the framework. You want to go further, it's a lot of work. But you can do it in one lifetime. You know why? Because that's the way it is. And yeah, I'm going to say it. The Buddha said you get it done in one lifetime. Have I personally seen these types of things actually happen? What if I said yes? Are people going to believe it? Oh, of course he's going to say yes because he's talking about it and he's promoting it. Of course he's going to say yes. What the hell? Da, 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 da. But truthfully, I know I'm really egging on the time here, but if I said yes, no one's going to believe it. If I said no, people probably think, oh, he's lying. I'm sure yes, why don't he just give us some examples? And then I give examples and people will be like, oh, it's bullshit. So it doesn't matter if I seen or had any experience with these methods being true. Matter is that I cultivated these methods. Whatever I had experienced is true for me. Okay? Whatever you experience is for you. If we get together in a nice group and we start discussing things about it, sure, I'll probably say a few things of this and a few things of that. But that's because we're all understanding that doing cultivation will attain specific things. So we can take what people are saying to have some type of logic to it. But saying it over a recording, I wouldn't want anyone to believe what I say because there's no reason to. Anywho, understand that these methods do work, and that's just the way they are, and they have their standards and requirements for them. The body needs to be your energy needs to be at a certain vibration in order to fulfill the next level of vibration. You when you're at a higher level of vibration, you understand what the lower levels of vibration are, but you don't understand what's higher than you because you haven't reached that vibration. You don't have the resonance for that. You only have the resonance for your level of consciousness or vibration. When you raise your level of vibration, now you're going a little higher. So let's say you were at a 5 and now you're at a 10. You still understand what the 9 all the way to 0 is like, but you don't understand what the 11 all the way to 20 is like. When you finally get to 11, you understand what 10 is like and all the way down. And you understand what 11 is like and all the way down. When you get to 12, you understand what 12 is like and all the way down. But you don't understand what 13, 14, and etc. is. So you need the body to be at a certain vibration. That means you need the mind to be at a certain vibration. And you need to be high up there if you really want higher attainments or attainments that allow you to jump off the cycle of birth and death and be free to come and go as you please.
Cool. So for our listeners, don't just take Lynn's advice. Just get out there and do it.
Which is my advice.
Actually, don't believe Lynn blindly. Just get out there and experience.
Don't believe me blindly. You can try it. But talk about something real quick. I'm not going to go on. I'm just going to list something about the senses. This is out of the Shurangama Sutra as well. The true mind is manifest in the 6 organs. Shakyamuni Buddha was asked once, "What is the Buddha nature?" He replied, "In the eyes it is called seeing. In the ears it is called hearing. In the nose, it smells scents. In the tongue, it tastes. In the hands, it is dexterity. In the feet, it is agility." Cool. So as we understand that, we can contemplate that as a little help. for us on the path of ending rebirth in one lifetime. Remember, Shurangama mantra, if you memorize it and you can recite it sincerely and you keep it up every single day and you follow the rules of posture of the mind, body, and mouth, you will get far and you will attain your goal. Take up the Shurangama Sutra and find its commentary, either on Master Xuanhua's commentary or Master Jing Kong Fasha's commentary. You'll find it to be very untying of the knots in our mind and in our senses. But you got to practice it. You can't just read it and think, "Oh, I understand," because the commentary there, and I understand even better. No. You got to apply practice to what you do. Anyway, that's about. I can go even further. I have a lot to talk about on it, but our time is out.
All right. Well, thanks again for joining us, Len, and thanks for your wisdom.
That's so funny. Wow. Never say that again.
I was just being polite.
Yeah, well. Why's my ass?
All right. Thanks for your screed.
Thank you. No problem. Wonderful. Hope I can mess everybody up next time.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for listening to Expedient Means of Lin Wei on Time Monk Radio. Please be sure to join us next week as we discuss the thrice yearning ceremony.
Oh, the joys of that one. Sorry, I got to. But that's beautiful, man. Thrice yearning ceremony. It's good. Look it up on the internet, and we're going to go into deep discussion on it. And no matter what you find on the internet, no matter what you think it is, I'm really going to lay out a lot of stuff about it. So enjoy.
All right, looking forward to it. And to quote Jack Burton from Big Trouble in Little China, when some wild-eyed 8-foot-tall maniac grabs your neck, taps the back of your favorite head up against the barroom wall, and looks you crooked in the eye and asks if you paid your dues, you just stare that big sucker right back in the eyes, and you remember what old Jack Burton always says at a time like this. Have you paid your dues, Jack? Yes, sir. The check is in the mail.
Egg Shen. Wonderful.